Guys, hi guys. I am just so glad that you have joined us this evening. And you know, we just kind of put this out there the other day, and so we'll just kind of see what happens. But my name is Amanda, and really, this is we'll just kind of start from the beginning. So, regulating your nervous system. What does that really mean? And you can just go to the next screen, Jesse. And really this is kind of the stuff that I am going to talk about tonight, right? Is just what is your nervous system, the two branches of your nervous system. What does it mean between regulated and dysregulated? Why is all of that important? And tools. My favorite part, the action steps, right? Like things that are useful that you can do tonight, actually, that you can start doing. And so that is the idea. I'm going to see, I want to be respectful of your time. So we are just going to jump right on into this. Like I said, my name is Amanda Van Laningham. I am a certified holistic health coach. I've been doing that for maybe 7 years now. Love what it is that I do. And I really, really the easiest way to explain what it is that I do is the stuff we're going to talk about tonight. Everything that I do with clients one-on-one is helping them regulate their nervous system. And I'm seeing a huge, huge increase on why people need this, which is kind of why we're doing this tonight. Maybe it will be useful to you. I'm hoping that you learn some things. And yeah, just it, that's the goal, is that you learn things. So you can see that I have a couple of things on this screen besides, saying what it is that I do. I focus on whole health. So it is spiritual, physical, and emotional health. I really feel like you have to have a balance between all of those. And spiritual is whatever that means to you, right? And so obviously the physical and the emotional, that's self-explanatory. But it encompasses a lot of things. And it's different for every person. It's not the same across the board, which is what I really love about what it is that I do, because it's different with every person, right? So I get to formulate a plan, and really I'm just your cheerleader, your accountability partner, helping you set goals for yourself, and then helping you reach those goals, making sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure, but for success. And that really is essentially what it is that I do. So you can see that I have some ways that you can contact me. So my Instagram page, and then my email, at amanda.renewinghealth@yahoo.com, or the Instagram page is renewing.health. So you can, follow me that way. So are you ready? Are you ready to really learn some things tonight? So I really do get excited about this stuff. So what is your nervous system? So when we think of our nervous system, really what we're thinking about is our autonomic nervous system. And really, it's responsible for so many things. It's responsible for our breathing, for our heart rate, blood pressure, even our digestion. So it really is, as I just mentioned those things, it's responsible for a lot of things, but just a couple, right, that I mentioned. It's not something that we control necessarily. Like we're not thinking about it. It just naturally happens, right? And so our body automatically does it, which is why it's called the autonomic nervous system. So from there, we have two branches. So you can go to the next one, and you can leave it. You can leave it here for a while, Jesse. So from there, it's made up of two branches. So the sympathetic nervous system, all right, which is our fight or flight response, and then the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest response. And each of those play an important role. So in our health in general, when we're in stressful situations, right? The body protects itself by going into that fight or flight mode. That's the whole point of it. While we're in that mode, the sympathetic nervous system, like when it's activated, it causes things like your your heart rate and your blood pressure to increase, your muscles to constrict, digestion shuts down, and your metabolism slows. We all can think of times when our mental and emotional state is that, that roller coaster, right? Like we're okay 1 minute and then we're not okay, or we're just like overwhelmed the next second. So all of that is signs of the sympathetic nervous system, and it triggers inflammation all over the body. And so, however, here's the other side of that in that state, your body releases cortisol, adrenaline, and a whole bunch of other hormones that help you get that flee and flight, right? So like you're trying to get out. So because it's what helps you get out of danger and survive. So those are all good things unless we are constantly having those things that can get us into trouble. And so our 21st century lifestyle, right, puts us in this mode more and more. And it's said actually that most people, especially in the United States, are at chronic low levels continuously. And our body is just taking hits nonstop all the time throughout the day. And it's trying to rebalance itself continuously. Well, another word for rebalance is regulate. It's trying to regulate itself. Well, it can't because we are constantly bringing on more stuff, right? And so it really is not too far-fetched, or it makes us understand why the words exhaustion and fatigue are such common words for us now. Because if we're constantly taking stress on and the body is trying to recalibrate itself, it's a constant struggle of what do I do? And of course that exhausts the body. Well, stress, we all know stress isn't something that we can get rid of completely, right? But if we learn how to recover in a way that serves our health best, well, then we're making progress. So learning how to move from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is really where relaxation, healing, rest, and digestion happens, is vital for optimal health. So, like I said, each branch plays an important role in regulating our body, and it's there for a reason. Like we were made for that, right? So here's a fact though, is that both of those branches, so we have the sympathetic, right, which is the fight or flight, and then we have the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. So we've talked just briefly about both of them a little bit, but we're going to talk about both of them in much more detail in a second. But before we do that, I really want you to understand something, because this is really the key. We cannot have both of them on at the same time. It's impossible. I want you to think about that for a second. It is impossible. It's like a light switch. One is off and one is on all the time. It's how God and how we made our bodies. And so it's marvelous when it functions like it's supposed to, but we like to think we can do things differently or will be different, right? But it is physically impossible for you to have both of them on. You can't be stressed and relaxed at the same time. You just can't. Now, I want you to remember that, because that's going to come into play in a little bit. So remember, they cannot both be on. Either one is on or one is off all the time. All right. So keep that in mind. Okay. So let's talk about the sympathetic nervous system just in a little bit more detail so that you can understand the whole, like the big picture. Okay. So the fight or flight response, we all know it as that, or we've heard it, right? And so some signs that you are in the sympathetic side and the effects that it has on your health, like just overall. So we're just going to talk a little bit about that and how it gets us into trouble. So here's some ways that it can show up. Now, this is not a complete list, all right? So I don't want you to think like, oh, I don't, like, no big deal. But here is a list, and I may try to make sure that I covered a lot of areas, all right? So difficulty relaxing, sleep issues, headaches, GI problems, depression, jumpy or jittery, high blood pressure, panic attacks, allergies, anxiety, fibromyalgia, elevated or irregular heart rate, palpitations, sweating, unexplained muscle aches, on edge or agitated, nauseous, overwhelm, can't sit still, negativity, difficulty concentrating, feeling stuck, shortness of breath, feeling physically sick, people pleaser mindset, keeping toxic relationships, and reacquiring infections or illnesses. So you can see it's a wide range of things, right? Now, the thing is that it's wide range because stress affects each of us differently. It's not the same for everyone across the board on how it affects us. And so that's why I'm constantly telling my clients to listen to your body. Your body will tell you what it needs. You just have to learn how to listen. And that's not something that we are very familiar with these days. And so that is one thing that I do when I work with clients, is teaching them how to learn to listen to their own body, right? Because it's sending us clues all the time. So now you can go to the next one. Now for the parasympathetic side, okay? So this is the rest and digest side. Or some people know it as the feel and heal. So it's really the relaxation side. It's where we want to be as much as possible. Doesn't it just sound nice just talking about it after listening to all of those things that we just talked about? So yeah, it's responsible for things like our saliva production, tears, your bladder, lung function, eyes, your resting heart rate, stimulates digestion, it relaxes the rectum, prevents adrenaline production. It also controls the nerve in the midsection. And that's really because it has something to do with the vagus nerve, which is back here, right? And that nerve is what runs from your brain to your large intestine. And it affects so many things like your stomach, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder, your male-female anatomy, your sphincter, and your immune system. So some really important things, right? It is controlling all of those things. Now, here's something that I want you to think about. I'm hoping that some light bulbs are about to go off, but I want to point out some things to you. That I see a lot of people that have GI issues of all sorts, and I would encourage you to take a look at your lifestyle and your health, because sometimes we're looking for answers in the wrong places. The body has to be relaxed. Listen to me say that again. The body has to be relaxed for digestion to happen. It has to be relaxed for you to have a bowel movement. When you're in survival mode, that fight or flight, right, which is the sympathetic nervous system side, digestion is not a main function that is vital to life. So blood flow is diverted from your essential organs, like your brain. It's diverted to these organs, right? So like your brain, your lungs, your heart, even your arms and your legs, because that's what helps you escape or survive. So those are the things that are important. Digestion is not important at that moment. So I'm hoping that you're making some connections. Now, here's something else. Remember, we're talking about the two branches, right? So the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. It's like a light switch. One's on, one's off all the time. Now, if digestion isn't happening when you're eating, because you're on the wrong side is activated, right? You're on the sympathetic side, so the stressed side. What do you think happens to that food when you eat? Well, turns to fat, especially in the midsection, because that's where cortisol production happens the most. So
yes, could I have a large ice cream cone, please? That's all.
So with that, just thinking about your midsection, right? So cortisol production. If you're stressed, if you're eating like people all the time like to say, well, I stress eat. Well, I can tell you what's happening in that moment right away, right? You're not digesting that food. You are, it's turning to fat. The mindset that you're in when you're eating has a huge effect. And actually it just has a big effect. We'll leave it at that. So you need to make sure that you're in a relaxed state. And we're going to talk about how you can do that in a little bit, right? So the other thing I want to point out to you is adrenaline, right? Adrenaline is not something that we want surges of at all times. It increases your blood pressure. It puts you at higher risk for heart attacks and strokes. It can also result in anxiety and weight gain and headaches and insomnia. So it's not fun stuff. But in a time when something happens and that rush saves you from something, it's great. It serves its purpose. But our body was made in, like I said, in an amazing way. And so it knows how to function if we honor and care for it properly. So I really wanted to point out those three things because those make big impacts, right? When we realize those things, they can have big impacts on what we do moving forward. And so I hope so far maybe you're connecting some dots because there are a lot of people out there that are dealing with a lot of these things and maybe they're looking in the wrong direction. Maybe it's something, I don't want to say simple as this because there's a lot of intentionality on how to make yourself in that relaxed state, like to get back to that continuously. And sometimes for somebody who has been in that stress state for so long, it like I said, it's that constantly rebalancing. So it takes work. So I don't want to say that it's easy, but there are simple things that you can do. And so this really is probably my favorite part because this is when we get to talk about the action steps, right? The things that you can do as soon as we get off, actually. As soon as we get off, these are things that you can do. And they make me so excited. So movement. I'm constantly talking about movement. So don't sit still all day. In fact, I have been standing most of the day. I have a desk that I can stand up at, and I love it. The lighting was even worse than it is right now, so I decided to sit down, but not sitting all day. Moving at a minimum, 20 minutes a day. It helps the body release endorphins, which has a calming effect on your body. We all know we need to move, but sometimes we need to be reminded of how sedentary lifestyle, how it affects us. Has huge health, well, it wouldn't be benefits. So it has repercussions. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for by sitting all day and being sedentary. But we're talking specifically about how to get back to the relaxed state, right? The parasympathetic state. So walking 20 minutes a day calms the system. The next one would be an electronic pause or power down hour. So Jesse, you want to change the slide? Thanks. So we become overstimulated from notifications, multitasking, just from all the things that we're trying to do all day long, right? And so we get to a place where we're constantly like checking our phones, and sometimes we just need to put our phone on silence and step away from it for a little while. And to do that like once or twice during the day is really useful. We think that we are good multitaskers, and especially as women, right? So I'm in the same boat. I have to remind myself of these things constantly. Don't think that I'm immune to this stuff. Even though I'm working with clients on a daily basis and reminding them of these things, I have to remind myself too. And so we're not meant to multitask. We're not. We think we're good at it, but we're not. So just stepping away from it for a little while, silencing it at night, that's also really helpful. And then the power down hour. So if you have not heard of that, before, the power down hour really is that hour before you're getting ready to go to bed, is just turning off all electronics and having a nightly routine. It can be a warm bath, hot tea, reading, just anything that is a bedtime routine for you that doesn't include electronics. What it does is it helps the brain like know, like, hey, it's time to prepare for rest, like we're about to go to sleep. And so it really is helpful. So finding things that you find relaxing that are not overstimulating is the key. The next one would be sleep, right? So we all need 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Some people think they function better on 8, some 9. I have people on occasion tell me they can function really well on 5 and 6. Well, that's not true. Maybe for a short time, or maybe for even a long time, but it will catch up with you. So we need sleep. Our body, when we're sleeping, right? So I like to say it like this, is that we need that sleep so that we can have the clean sweeper come through and rid our system of the toxins and things like dead cells and all of those things, right? That's when REM sleep happens, the deep sleep. And we need that for restoration. And then the healing can take place. So all the things that we're bombarded with throughout the day that we can control and not control, it really helps the body just like get rid of all of that stuff. So we really need that long period of sleep so that we can get that restoration sleep. And then we all have just our circadian clock, right, which regulates that alertness and the sleepiness. And so have you ever had that second wind? We'll say that, the second wind, where you're like, oh, you were really tired, and then you're like, oh no, I'm good now. Okay, well, so that has more to do with your circadian rhythm. So we want to make sure that we're asleep before we get that second wind. So really making sure that we're asleep by 10 o'clock is really important, because that's when it will like start over. And so that's sleeping between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. We really want to be sleeping then. All right, the next one would be quiet time or meditation. And for me, that's spending time with God, right? And so it helps me remember that I'm not in control. I'm usually in that time, I'm reading his word, and then I'm pausing to really think about what is it that I need to take away from this that's important. And so it can include things like meditation, journaling, prayer, right? Like any of those things that you find are important to you and are helpful. Those things can help you go to the relaxed state. And then, which brings us to the next one, gratitude. So we all know the importance of gratitude, but did you know that you have 80,000 thoughts a day? 80,000. Now, 80% of those thoughts are negative, and 95% of those thoughts are thought to be repetitive. So think about that for a minute. Negative, like it's repeating. You're repeating those same negative thoughts, right? And those are they're creating neural pathways, which are formed from your habitual thought habits. And really, the easiest way, like if you can't tell, I like analogies or easy ways to think about it, right? So those neural pathways are like grooves on a muddy dirt road. So if it's been raining on a dirt road, and a truck goes down and makes those ruts in the road, well, when the next vehicle comes down, it's easy for that car as long as they follow that same path. Well, it's the same concept with our thought pattern. And so that's why it just keeps cycling and cycling and cycling. And we have to be intentional, right? And reroute those thoughts on a daily basis. And so a way to help you focus more on the positive than the negative is to think about 1 to 3 things that you're grateful for every day, right? So just it helps you refocus and reroute those thoughts. And so it seems really simple, but it really can have a big impact. And I would also tell you that it's the things that no one else hears. So our self-talk, I talk a lot about that with clients because I work with mostly women, and we are horrible with that self-talk. Nobody else can hear it, so it really doesn't make a difference, right? But actually it's the most damaging to us because of that repetitive. And so we have to stop that cycle, and gratitude can be helpful for that. Then comes the next one, food. I love food, right? It's whole food. So food is fuel. That is how I view food. It's good, healthy fats, clean proteins, complex carbohydrates, nuts, seeds, fruits and vegetables. All those things are needed. The food we eat matters, and it affects not only our mood, but our entire body. So it's quality and variety. You can see by the picture on the left-hand side, right? Like that's a lot of different colors, a lot of variety. And so that's all important. Whole food gives our bodies what it needs to function and heal. So function and heal, they're both needed, right? And the different colors of fruits and vegetables all provide something different that our body needs. When it comes to food and regulating our nervous system, specifically, things like vitamin B, D, and C are high on the list for those things. And so that can come from things like citrus fruits, berries, nuts. I mean, it comes from a variety of things, but like I said, I'm giving you an idea. And so that kind of brings me to, I like to grow my own food. I do call myself a farmer, right? So I like to grow a lot of my own food actually. But even doing that, I still need more. I'm not getting enough. And that really is, I'll let you know, or yeah, do you know how many servings of fruits and vegetables that you should have daily? Right? So we all think, oh yeah, I have a lot of fruits and vegetables. But if you thought about just today, have you had, I'm just going to give you a round number, okay? Have you had 10 servings? Have you had 10 servings of fruits and vegetables today? Like that's about the average that we should be having on a daily basis. And if you're an athlete or pregnant, that's closer to 18. That's a lot of food. Right? And so I don't want to be eating all day long. Like I don't want to be a rabbit and just continuously eating. So the picture on the right over here is a tool that I use, right? So it's a simple tool that my family and I both use every single day, and it helps get me to that what is needed. And it's something called Juice Plus. And so it is whole food concentrates in a capsule. It is, I've been taking it for years and I absolutely love it. So if you would like more information about Juice Plus, I would encourage you to go to juiceplus.com, or you can go to the person who invited you to this and ask them more questions. They would love, love, love to have a conversation with you about what Juice Plus is and what it can do for you and your family, right? And so I'm an affiliate with Juice Plus. I love it very much. It's how I grow some of my food. I take the capsules every day. So there's lots of things to learn if you're interested in doing that. The next thing is deep breathing. So deep breathing, I found this cute little breathing image, and I was like, look, that'll be cute. But because I like the concept of it, what you're inhaling and you're exhaling, right? And if you notice, like the exhaling is that windmill. And so it's because you're exhaling longer. And so I teach clients something called 5-5-7 breath. Okay. So if you have ever done yoga, you know about deep breathing. Like it's all essentially the same. I just use 5-5-7. And really what that is just inhaling for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, and then exhaling for 7 seconds. And that's all there is to it. It's doing it. I say I usually say 3 times, but that 3 to 5 mark, so doing 3 to 5 rotations really gets you into that calm state because it's a rhythm of relaxation. You're silently counting in your head that that 5 and 7 mark. And so because you're focused on that, it's kind of like waves. Have you ever watched the ocean waves, and they're relaxing because it's rhythmic, and it does the same thing. This is the same concept. So it's relaxing and it calms down the nervous system. And actually, I'll teach you a really crazy trick that I promise helps. If you are in a stress state when you're getting ready to eat and you notice, like, I need to calm down because I don't want this to like just be stored as fat, right? If you do this, the 5-5-7 breath, those rotations, the 3 to 5 rotations, it calms down the nervous system, and it is just it tricks the nervous system into thinking, oh, I'm calm, and so it calms down, and you can digest the food. So I promise you, it seems like the funniest thing, and it's like, is that really going to work? But I promise it does, because the nervous system, like I said, you can't be in both at the same time. So yeah, there's a quick little side note that I wasn't intending to share, but you're getting some health coaching one-on-one, I guess. So okay, let's go to the next one. So this is the last one that I want to talk about, and is the one I get the most reactions from. Dry brushing and a lymphatic shower. Some people know it as a cold shower, or I've even heard it called the cold plunge, maybe. And really, so dry brushing, if you don't know what that is you can see the brushes on it are kind of hard, right? And so by doing dry brushing, it increases your circulation, and that's automatically a stress relief to the body. And so it helps actually with inflammation. So it decreases inflammation because the circulation is better. And so dry brushing is huge. And I'll tell you how I personally do it is I get in the shower and I do dry brushing before I turn on the water, right? So you do it before you're in the water, but obviously you're shedding those dead skin cells when you're doing it. And so I figure, well, I'll just do it in the shower. So then it can just wash it all down. So doing the dry brushing first, and you can get online, and it really is easy. You can find brushes at Walmart, anywhere really. And so you do that. And then my favorite part is the lymphatic shower, right? And so it's the cold water from this. It stimulates the immune system, and it activates. Okay, all right, to listen. So it activates the vagus nerve. Remember that nerve that I told you is back here that is connected to all of those things in your midsection, right? So it's what connects the brain to the digestive tract. And so it's waking everything up, and it gets things moving. So it gives you this like influx of energy. And so by doing one and then the other, it's great. It sets your day up for amazing things. And do I do it this way? Yes. And I do it in the morning. Sometimes I do it after, I go for a walk or a run. It just kind of varies, but the idea of the lymphatic shower is that you start it out warm, obviously, because no one's going to walk into a cold shower, right? But you take it, it's warm, and then you're doing your normal shower routines. And then at some point, you're changing it to as cold as you can stand it. Now, that's not the end of it. It's not just warm and then cold. Then the idea is to go back to warm. So then you're putting it as hot as you can stand it. And then you're going back to as cold as you can stand it. And usually what will happen is you'll go even colder, right? So you'll make it even colder the second time. And you want to do it, I do it in 3 rotations. I like numbers, and so 3 rotations is, there's a lot of backing on what that does for you. But just 3 rotations. And so it's that hot to cold, and then getting out on the last cold rotation is the idea. And I know you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, I don't like cold showers. I don't like cold. I don't like to be cold. But this is different. I have noticed huge health benefits, and I have just a ton of energy. And so it is so worth it. You should try it. And I would love for you to reach out and tell me if you liked it or didn't like it. But I promise it's worth trying. And it really helps rebalance and put you in that parasympathetic nervous system side, right? So it puts you in that relaxed state. So like I said, this is not all the things I teach. Everything that I am doing with clients is really helping them learn how to rebalance and recalibrate so that they're in the right system and their body can function properly. But some of the things I shared with you are just some, right? We can do a whole bunch of different things. But the goal is to try a few things on here, but never are you supposed to be overwhelmed. That kind of defeats the purpose, right? So don't think, oh, I guess I'm going to try all of these things. No, I'm not suggesting that. Look on here, see what some things that, I really would like to try and incorporate one or two and do that for a little while. And if you notice some things that are, you notice some changes, then great. You can then maybe add a couple of other things but never all at once. Like it's never an all or none, right? That's just not how health works. And so just try incorporating a couple of things. And we have to start somewhere, right? That's the idea, is starting somewhere and then seeing how it works for you. Yeah, and that is really what I wanted to share. If you are interested in learning more or even working with me one-on-one, you can't oh, excuse me, you can just wanting more information about maybe something I talked about, or yeah, just anything at all about the nervous system. You can reach out to me. The easiest way, like I said, you could do it on email, which is Amanda dot renewinghealth at yahoo.com, or on my Instagram page at renewing.health. And that really is the easiest way to get a hold of me. And yeah, I hope that you guys have learned a whole lot today. And I'm so thankful for the time that you invested in listening. And yeah, Jesse, you have any questions? Or anybody really?
Oh my gosh, I'll just say it. There were so many times where I wanted to use the chat, but I don't think I could go back and forth. But I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear this. I think Carmen even mentioned she's going to do the dry brush. I was messaging her as well. I was like, oh my God, this
Nice.
is my problem. So thank you for all of this, Amanda. This was really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it really is. It's just if we just stop and think about these things, right? So super simple things, but it doesn't mean that they're easy. And so they just take intentionality. So I hope that everybody has a great evening. And I really am thankful that you just came to listen, and hopefully you learned something. So you guys have a great night.